You stole my life. Brother calls me a thief after I outshine him with no help from parents. The process server found me on my front porch. I had just returned from the hardware shop to replace some drywall anchors in the guest bedroom. The house was still in progress, but it was mine. I bought it 8 months ago, at the age of 24, using money I had saved since I was 14. Jack Thomas. I set down the bag. Yeah. He handed me the envelope. You've been served. He then strolled away, as if he hadn't just landed a bomb on my Tuesday afternoon. I stood there holding the envelope, which appeared to be official and legal in weight. I opened it slowly. Karen and Carl King vs. Jack Thomas. My parents were suing me. I read the first page, then the second, and then went back and read them again to be sure I wasn't misunderstanding anything. Claim tortious interference with a potential economic gain. Additional arguments include unjust enrichment, fraud, and breach of familial obligation. Translation: they sued me because I was successful while my older brother Nathan was not. The accusations were absurd. Defendant Jack Thomas purposely manipulated family relations to get an unfair advantage. The defendant concealed critical business advice and mentorship from his brother Nathan King, causing Nathan's business ventures to fail. Defendant utilized his family name and reputation to grow his business while hindering his brother's attempts. Defendant obtained secret financial assistance from extended family members, which he falsely claimed to have acquired independently. They demanded $300,000 in damages, and the transfer of my residence to Nathan as payment for lost possibilities. I sat down on the porch stairs. Read it again. The phone was already ringing. Mom. I replied. What the hell is this? Don't you dare use that language with me. You're suing me. You left us no choice. You've been selfish and cruel to your brother. Selfish. Selfish. I worked 3 jobs throughout college while you paid for Nathan's private school, Dad said in the background. Let me talk to him. The phone was swapped. Jack, this is happening. You can either settle reasonably or we'll see you in court. Settle for what? What did I do? You know exactly what you did. You built your little business using our family connections. What connections? We're middle class. There are no connections. You sabotaged your brother. Every time he tried to start something, you were there undermining him. I offered to help him. I offered to teach him basic business planning. He told me I was thinking too small. I heard Mom's voice again. She'd taken the phone back. You stole his future, Jack. That house should be his. That business should be his. You knew he was the entrepreneur in the family. He's failed 3 businesses. You gave him $120,000 and he lost it all because you sabotaged him. I was in college building my own thing. I didn't even live in the same city. Nathan's whiny, loud voice could be heard in the background. That's my house. I should be living there. He stole my life. I closed my eyes. Nathan, you're 25 years old. You live in Mom and Dad's basement. I didn't steal anything. I built something. With our family's help, Nathan exclaimed. Grandpa gave you money. Admit it. Grandpa's been dead for 6 years. And he left us both the same amount, $2,500. Liar. You got more. You must have. I stood up. I'm done with this conversation. Mom, you'll be hearing from our lawyer. We're taking you to court and we're going to win. You owe your brother. You owe this family. I don't owe you anything. I worked for everything I have. You gave me nothing. Dad. Because you didn't need anything. You were always self-sufficient. Nathan needed support. So, you're punishing me for not being a failure. We're correcting an injustice. See you in court. Click. They hung up. I sat there, holding the phone. I then called my best pal, David. Yo, what's up? My parents are suing me for $300,000. Silence. What? I explained everything. The complaint, the claims, and the demand for my home. Dude, that's insane. Can they do that? Apparently, they can file. Winning is different. This is about Nathan, right? Golden child Nathan, who's failed at everything. Yeah, man. Your parents are delusional. You built everything yourself. I watched you do it. They're claiming I sabotaged him. That, I used family connections to succeed. David laughed. Bitter. Family connections? Your dad's a middle manager and your mom's in HR. What connections exactly? What are you going to do? Fight it. I'm not giving them a dime. Good. They're out of their minds. After we hung up, I sat on my porch and reflected about the past 7 years. I started working when I was 14. Not because I wanted to, but because when I asked my parents for $20 for robotics club, my father answered, "Money doesn't grow on trees. Son, you want it? Earn it." That same week, Nathan received $600 for an entrepreneurship camp. I began mowing lawns that Saturday for $15 per hour. By summer's end, I had saved $800. Nathan spent $600 on video games and Chipotle. When I turned 16, I purchased an old bike from Craigslist for $80. My folks gifted it to me on my birthday. I was thankful. At least they had gotten me something. 2 months later, Nathan turned 16. They purchased him a brand new Ford Mustang for $40,000. Nathan needs reliable transportation for internship opportunities. Dad said when I asked about the difference. Nathan never did an internship. He drove that Mustang to parties and damaged it during his junior year. They got him another automobile. I biked everywhere until I was 18 and purchased my first car. A 5-year-old Honda Civic, for $3,500 that I had saved from tutoring and computer repair work. Bought high, panicked, sold cheap, and lost everything in 6 weeks. The marketplace is rigged. Dad claimed that no one had asked why some individuals make money in cryptocurrency, but Nathan did not. The consulting firm requested $50,000 from my parents. Nathan rented a downtown office for $4,000 per month. Spent $10,000 on branding, logo, website, and business cards despite having no clients, no experience, and no business plan. He described himself as a disruptive business strategist. When the money ran out, we closed in 4 months. Mom taught how innovators scare corporate America. Meanwhile, I turned 24. My business generated $300,000 in annual revenue and $95,000 in profit. I left my day job to focus full-time. I found a fixer-upper house for $180,000. Put down 20% of the $36,000 I had saved. I spent 4 months refurbishing it myself. YouTube tutorials. Sweat equity. 12-hour days of drywall and painting. Moved in 3 weeks ago. My parents came to watch it once. Must be nice to get lucky with timing, Dad commented, glancing around. Not, congratulations. Not, we're proud. Not, how did you do this? It was just luck, they explained. And now they're suing me, alleging I stole Nathan's future. I sat on my porch till sunset. Then I went inside, opened my laptop, and looked up lawyers. Found Blackwell & Associates, a firm that specializes in defending against bogus claims. The reviews were nasty, in the greatest way. I destroyed my ex's frivolous lawsuit and forced them to pay my legal bills. They don't just win, they make the opposing side regret filing. Perfect. I called and left a message. My parents are suing me because I am more prosperous than my sibling. I want to fight this and make them regret it. The next morning, my phone rang at 8 a.m. Hello. Jack Thomas. This is David Blackwell. Received your message. Tell me exactly what I did. The golden child dynamic. They'd given Nathan $120,000. They had given me $0. The complaint claimed that I had somehow stolen Nathan's opportunities. Blackwell listened without interrupting. When I finished, he commented, "This is one of the most frivolous suits I've seen in 20 years of practice. Can they win? Absolutely not. Their claims lack legal merit. But, Jack, I'd like to ask you something. Do you want to win or make a statement?" What kind of statement? Countersuit. Misuse of procedure, malicious prosecution, and intentional infliction of mental distress. Make them pay for your legal fees. Make it so expensive and terrible that they never try this trash with anyone else. I thought about it for exactly 3 seconds. Let's make an example out of them. Good. I'll need evidence, such as tax returns, bank statements, and work records, to prove yourself. I have 7 years' worth of tax returns, W-2s from every job, and business incorporation documentation. Perfect. Send it all. They are claiming fraud. That you covertly obtained assistance. We are going to show that they deceived the court by filing this garbage. How long until the trial? It will most likely be 7 months. The discovery will be interesting. We will depose them under oath. Make them explain how you snatched opportunities you never asked for. I smiled. First time since being served. When do we start? We already did. I'll file our answer tomorrow. And Jack? Yeah. They still think of you as the youngster who refused to fight back. Show them who you've become. Following the call, I spent the rest of the day preparing my case. I retrieved every text conversation in which they applauded Nathan's vision despite his failings. Every Facebook post commemorates his adventures. Every family dinner when they dismissed my accomplishments. Every receipt proved that I had never received a cent from them. By midnight, I'd completed a 47-page chronology. Nathan received a $50,000 food truck, $40,000 in cryptocurrency, $35,000 in consulting, and $220,000 in co-signed college loans, for a total parental investment of $345,000. Jack received nothing. Nathan is currently in debt for $180,000. He lives in his parents' basement, and he has 3 unsuccessful enterprises. Jack's current net worth is $95,000. Business owner, homeowner, no debt. Subject line and evidence: how to undermine your parents' lawsuit. I emailed it to Blackwell. Went to bed. And slept better than I had in weeks because, for the first time in my life, I was not taking their trash quietly. They desired conflict. When I quit playing nice, they were about to discover my true potential. The countersuit arrived 2 weeks after Blackwell was hired. I was at my work, fulfilling orders, when my phone rang. Blackwell. They were served an hour ago. Your mother contacted my office and screamed. What exactly did she say? Are you an ungrateful son? Are we monsters? Is she calling the bar association? Standard terror when people discover they've been screwed. What will happen now? Discovery. We question them under oath. Request documentation. Make them prove their assertions. It's about to turn ugly. Good. That evening, my phone exploded. There are 17 missed calls. 12 from Mom, 3 from Dad, and 2 from Nathan. I listened to one voicemail. Mom cries, "How could you do this to us? We are your parents. You are countersuing us." This is elder abuse. They were 58. I removed the remainder without listening. Nathan sent a text. You are disgusting. I hope you're pleased wrecking the family. I blocked his phone number. Dad sent a text. It's gone too far. Drop the countersuit. And we will drop ours. Let's be adults. I replied. You sued me first. You started it. I'm finished, he said, without responding. The next day, David came over with beer and pizza. Dude, your family's losing their minds on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook. I understand. That's why I'm showing you. He took out his phone. My mother had written, heartbroken doesn't begin to convey how we feel. We tried to assist our youngest son comprehend family obligations, but he replied by suing us. We just wanted him to help his poor brother. Instead, he's chosen money before family and is praying for his soul. There were 200 comments, half of which supported her, and half of which called her out. My Aunt Linda made one comment. Karen, didn't you pay for Nathan's college and business? What did Jack receive? Mother's answer. Jack had always maintained his independence. He didn't require assistance. Another comment from my uncle, Theodore. So you are penalizing him for being responsible? Mom had not replied to that one. David scrolled further. Nathan had also posted. My younger brother is suing our parents because they asked him to help me out. Yes, I made some business mistakes, but families are meant to support one another. Instead, he's hired attorneys to target Mom and Dad. This is what greed does to individuals. The responses were more mixed. Some defended him, while others asked pointed questions. How much money did your parents provide you for your business? Why should your brother give you the money? Did he do anything wrong, or are you just upset that he's successful? Nathan had not replied any of them. They're attempting to dominate the story, David explained. Let them. The truth will emerge in court. My telephone rang. Unknown number. I responded. Jack, it's Aunt Linda. Hi, I saw your mother's Facebook post. I wanted to hear your side. I told her everything. The lawsuit, the allegations, the $120,000 Nathan had spent. All I'd ever asked for was $0. She was silent for a long time. I'm so sorry, Jack. I knew they favored Nathan, but I had no idea it was this terrible. Most people did not. For what it's worth. I support you. And I told your mother so in the comments. Thanks. Do you need anything? Money for lawyers? No, I've got it covered. Okay, but if you do, please call me. And, Jack, do not back down. They must learn this lesson. After we hung up, David stared at me. You have some family on your side. At least some, not all, but enough. 3 weeks later, the deposition began. Blackwell phoned me the night before. We are going to depose your parents tomorrow. I'm going to ask very precise questions concerning money. It will be uncomfortable. Good. Your job is to remain calm. Do not react. Just let me work. I get it. The deposition took place in Blackwell's office, which included a conference room, table, chairs, and a court reporter. My parents arrived with their lawyer, a man named Foster, who appeared uncomfortable from the moment he walked in. Mom would not look at me. Dad glared. The court reporter swore them in. Blackwell began with my mother. It took him exactly 20 minutes to debunk her entire tale. How much money does Nathan have for business? $120,000. How much does Jack get? 0. How much does Nathan's college tuition cost? The loans and expenses total $220,000. How much does Jack cost? 0. What particular steps did Jack take to sabotage Nathan? He refused to help, Mom stated. Is Jack legally bound to offer free business consulting? Families should aid each other. Did Nathan help Jack? Silence. Mrs. Gray, has Nathan ever offered Jack assistance? I do not know. You don't know, but you're convinced Jack sabotaged Nathan. Yes. What evidence is this based on? Nathan told us. So, you don't have any direct evidence. You're completely depending on Nathan's word. He's our son. Why would he lie? Blackwell produced bank statements, receipts, and transaction records, talked her through every dollar they'd given Nathan, and had her confirm on the record that I'd received nothing. By the end, Mom was in tears. Dad was infuriated. Foster seemed to want to be somewhere else. That's all I need. Blackwell explained. Dad's deposition was shorter. Same questions, same answers, greater rage. But the facts did not change. Nathan receives $345,000, but I receive $0. Following their departure, Blackwell slumped back in his chair. So, it went nicely. They looked miserable since they had just admitted under oath that they gave your brother everything and you nothing. The entire case claims that you had undue advantages. We've simply proven the opposite. What will happen now? Next week, we will depose Nathan. That will be even more intriguing. Nathan's deposition proved disastrous for him. Anyway, he arrived in an ill-fitting suit, already defensive, before Blackwell posed the first question. Blackwell started with a food truck. Walk me through the reasons it failed. Nathan launched into a tirade about local laws, permits, and an unjust system designed to crush small businesses. Did you investigate these criteria before buying the truck? I anticipated there would be some red tape. Did you get the appropriate permits? Yes or no? No. But did you have a business plan, revenue estimates, or cost analysis? I had a vision. That is not a business plan. Blackwell obtained information indicating that 17 other food trucks were operating effectively in the same region during the same time period. They all followed the same rules. Why did you fail? Nathan's face turned red. They probably had more money. You had $50,000 in startup funding, which is more than most. Try again. I do not know. Maybe they were lucky. Blackwell switched to cryptocurrency. Nathan admitted that he lost $40,000 in 6 weeks by following trends and viewing expert-created YouTube videos. Blackwell inquired. Yes, there are many people with different points of view. Did you verify that they were successful traders? They garnered millions of views. Several people in the room attempted not to chuckle. The consulting business was worse. Nathan acknowledged that he rented a $3,500 office with no clients, spent $10,000 on branding with no results, and shuttered after 4 months. You spent $30,000 with no business plan, no clients, and no results. Is this accurate? I was constructing the foundation. You spent money you didn't have on appearance rather than substance. Then came the big question. Mr. King, you say that Jack sabotaged your businesses. How specifically? He refused to aid me. Did you ask him for assistance? Nathan hesitated. I shared my opinions. Did you make an express request for help? Yes or no? Not in those words. So Jack hindered your efforts by refusing to provide assistance that you had never requested. Families should help without being asked. Have you helped Jack with his business? Silence. Mr. King, what did you do to help Jack's business? I encouraged him. How specifically? I don't recall exact conversations. Because there were none. You never assisted, never volunteered, and never inquired about his business. But you're suing him because he didn't help you. Nathan's face was crimson. He possessed advantages. Like, what? He is smarter. He always received better grades. So you are suing him because he is intelligent? No, he simply had it simpler. He worked 3 jobs while college. You went to a party. He created a business while eating ramen. You spent $120,000 failing. Which portion was easier? Nathan stood up. This is Foster. Softly. Sit down. Nathan sat, breathing heavily. Blackwell closed the folder. One final question. In your lawsuit, you argue that Jack's house should be transferred to you. Why do you believe you are entitled to a house that you did not earn, pay for, or build? Nathan glared at me with venom. Because it should have been mine. That is my life that he is living. Why should it have been yours? Because I am the eldest. I am meant to be successful. Everything he owns should be mine. Blackwell smiled. Thank you. That was all I needed. After Nathan had rushed out, Blackwell turned to me. That was a gift. How is this so? He just confessed under oath that he feels he is entitled to your possessions merely by being born first. No judge in the country will agree with that. What will happen now? Now we wait for the trial. But, honestly, I don't believe it will reach that far. Why not? Because Foster will tell them they don't have a case. We have testimony to back it up. And our countersuit will cost them more than their pride can bear. He was correct. 3 days later, Foster called Blackwell to discuss the deal. Blackwell phoned me. They want to drop everything their suit, our countersuit. Leave without a trace. No. No. I want them sanctioned. I want the judge to officially decide that their case was frivolous. I wanted it on record that they wasted both the courts and my time. That is aggressive. They sued me for succeeding. They attempted to steal my house after their golden child failed. I want penalties. Blackwell was silent for a moment. Then, okay, I'll tell Foster no deal. When's the trial? 4 weeks. And, Jack, once they see you're serious, they'll panic. Good. Let them panic. That night, I sat in my house, which I had bought, refurbished, and earned for myself, and felt nothing. No guilt, doubt, or second thoughts. They had attempted to ruin me legally for the crime of success. They were about to discover what happens when you begin a battle with someone who has nothing to prove and nothing to lose. The trial was in 4 weeks, and I planned to make sure they remembered it for the rest of their lives. 4 weeks felt both too long and too short. My parents tried everything to get me to settle. Mom sent voicemails crying about how this was ripping her family apart. Dad sent emails about being reasonable and considering the family's reputation. Nathan sent messages from fresh numbers that I continued to block, calling me every name in the book. I ignored it all. Blackwell kept me informed about their lawyers' increasingly desperate attempts to negotiate. Foster called for the 3rd time this week. They are willing to drop the action and cover your legal costs. No, Jack, it's $18,000 in fees. That is a win. I do not want their money. I want a decision. You understand that means standing trial in front of a judge with your parents? Yes. And are you prepared for that? I've been preparing for this all my life. Just didn't realize it till now. David arrived 2 days before the trial began. Are you sure about this, man? This is your family. When they sued me, they no longer considered me to be family. What happens if you win and they lose everything? Their savings and reputation. They should have considered that before filing. No regrets. I thought about it. Really thought about it. The only regret I have is that I did not set boundaries sooner. For 21 years, I tolerated being treated as if I were less valuable than Nathan. This, I said, gesturing toward the legal documents on my table. This is just the final consequence of their choices. All right, I'll be there. Front row, trial day. I dressed a suit I'd purchased expressly for this occasion. Navy blue, well-fitted and professional. They appeared to have their act together, just as I did. The courthouse was located downtown. The old structure, the marble floors, and the distinct echo all contribute to a more serious atmosphere. Blackwell greeted me outside the courtroom. Ready? Yeah. Remember, stay calm. Let me do the talking. The judge is going to ask you some questions. Just answer honestly. Don't embellish. Don't get emotional. Got it. And Jack, we're going to win. We walked inside. My folks were already there with Foster. Mom looked like she had aged 5 years. Dad appeared annoyed. Nathan sat behind them, arms crossed and looking at me. The judge was a woman in her 60s. Judge Karen Black. Blackwell had informed me that she had a reputation for not accepting perfection. All rise. We stood. Judge Black entered, seated, and examined her notes. Please be seated. We're here today for King vs. King, case number 2024, CV8847. Mr. Foster, your clients filed the original complaint. Please summarize your case. Foster stood. He appeared uneasy. Your Honor, the plaintiffs allege that the defendant, Jack King, engaged in tortious interference and unjust enrichment by... Let me stop you there. Judge Black stated. I've reviewed the depositions. The plaintiffs gave their older son Nathan over $345,000. They gave Jack nothing, and they're suing Jack for succeeding. Is that accurate? Foster shifted. Your Honor, it's more nuanced, is it? Because the deposition seems pretty clear. Plaintiff spent $345,000 on Nathan, zero on Jack. Nathan failed 3 businesses. Jack succeeded. Now, they want Jack to pay them $300,000. Where's the nuance? The plaintiffs believe that Jack's success came at Nathan's expense based on what evidence? Nathan's testimony. Nathan's testimony that he's entitled to his brother's assets because he's older. That testimony. Foster studied his notes, looked at my parents, and then back at the judge. Your Honor. Families have obligations. Families have obligations. Courts enforce contracts. Do you have a contract showing Jack owed his brother anything? No. But do you have evidence Jack sabotaged Nathan's businesses? Nathan claims. Claims aren't evidence, Mr. Foster. Do you have evidence? Silence. I didn't think so. Mr. Blackwell, I assume you have a motion? Blackwell stood. Yes. Your Honor. We move to dismiss the plaintiff's complaint with prejudice and enter judgment on our counterclaim for abuse of process. Tell me about the counterclaim. Your Honor, this lawsuit was filed in bad faith. The plaintiffs have no evidence supporting their claims. The depositions prove they gave Nathan every advantage and Jack none. They're using the court system to punish Jack for succeeding where Nathan failed. That's textbook abuse of process. Judge Black gazed at my parents. Mr. and Mrs. King, do you understand what's happening here? Mom stood. Your Honor, we just wanted. Sit down, please. I'm not asking what you wanted. I'm telling you what you did. You filed a frivolous lawsuit against your son because you're embarrassed that you spent $345,000 on Nathan and he failed. While Jack succeeded with no help from you. Dad started speaking. The judge raised her hand. I've read the depositions. I've reviewed the evidence. This case never should have been filed. Mr. Foster. You should have advised your clients of that. Foster appeared miserable. Your Honor, I did advise. Not strongly enough, apparently. She went to her computer and typed something. Motion to dismiss is granted. The plaintiff's complaint is dismissed with prejudice. Judgment for the defendant on the counterclaim. The plaintiffs are ordered to pay defendant's attorney fees in the amount of. Blackwell glanced at her. What are we at? $18,400, Your Honor. $18,400. Additionally, I'm sanctioning the plaintiffs in the amount of $6,000 for filing a frivolous lawsuit. That's payable to the court, not the defendant. My mother gave a gasp. Dad placed his head in his hands. Furthermore, Judge Black went on. I'm ordering that this judgment be entered into the public record with a notation that this was a frivolous suit filed in bad faith. Any future litigation by the plaintiffs against the defendant on these same claims will result in additional sanctions. She glanced directly at my parents. Mr. and Mrs. King, I understand you're disappointed that your sons' lives turned out differently than you expected, but your disappointment is not Jack's responsibility. You made choices about how to allocate your resources. Nathan made choices about how to use those resources, and Jack made different choices. He succeeded. That is not a crime or tortious interference. That is life. But Your Honor, Mom tried. I'm not finished. You came into this court asking for $250,000 in a house your son earned himself. Instead, you're leaving with a $23,000 judgment against you and a public record showing you sued your son for succeeding. I hope it was worthwhile. She slammed her gavel. We're adjourned. The courtroom fell silent for a moment. Then Nathan burst. He sabotaged me. Everyone knows it. Mr. King, the judge replied harshly. I suggest you leave before I hold you in contempt. Nathan stormed out. My folks sat there, stunned. I rose up, fixed my suit jacket, and walked out without looking back. Outside the courtroom, Blackwell shook my hand. Congratulations. That was about as decisive as it gets. What happens now? Now they have 30 days to pay the judgment. If they don't, we can start collection proceedings. Liens, wage garnishment, the works. Will they pay? Probably. The alternative is worse. But Jack, understand this is going to destroy your relationship with them. It already was destroyed. This just made it official. Marcus waited in the corridor. Dude, I heard the judge through the door. She destroyed them. Yeah, she did. How do you feel? I thought about it. Free. That nightfall, the fallout started. Nathan shared a message on Facebook. The justice system is a joke. My brother spent thousands on lawyers to destroy our family. A corrupt judge sided with him because he has money. This is what America has become. Family means nothing. Money is everything. The feedback was harsh. Didn't you sue him first? Corrupt judge? She just didn't rule in your favor. Maybe get a job instead of blaming your brother. Maybe an agent of comfort. Maybe get a job instead of blaming your brother. Nathan erased the message around an hour later. Mom wrote, we lost in court today. Not because we were wrong, but because the system benefits the wealthy. We tried to teach our son family values. Instead, he showed us that success corrupts. I pray for his soul. Aunt Rachel said, Karen, you sued him. You lost. Maybe it's time for some self-reflection instead of playing victim. Uncle Jim observed. You spent $345,000 on Nathan and nothing on Jack, then sued Jack for succeeding. What did you expect? Mom removed the entire post. 3 days later, Aunt Rachel called me. Jack, your parents are in trouble. What kind of trouble? Financial. They refinanced the house twice to fund Nathan's businesses. Between that and the judgment, they're looking at bankruptcy. That's not my problem. I know. I'm just telling you in case they try to guilt you. They've tried everything else. How are you doing? Really? Honestly, better than I've been in years. Good. You did the right thing. They needed consequences. Thanks, Rachel. A week after the ruling, I was in my workshop. Someone knocked on my garage door after I had transformed a portion of it. I opened the door. Nathan stood there. We need to talk. No, we don't. Please, just 5 minutes. Against my better judgment, I allowed him in. He looked awful. He was unshaven, wearing wrinkled clothes, and had black circles under his eyes. What do you want, Nathan? I need money. I nearly laughed. You're kidding. I'm serious. Mom and Dad are broke. They're going to lose the house. I'm living in my car. I need help. You need help? After you sued me, after you claimed my house should be yours, after you called me every name in the book. I was angry. You were entitled. You still are. You believe that because you are older and were Mom and Dad's favorite, you deserve all I have built. You do not. I made mistakes. You made wrong choices on multiple occasions, and now you are paying the price. Welcome to adulthood. So, you are going to let us lose everything? You lost everything on your own, Nathan. 3 businesses, $120,000, and your parents' retirement. That is all you. I did not sabotage anything. You accomplished it yourself. Please, I am your brother. No, you are someone to whom I am biologically connected, and who has treated me as if I were less valuable my entire life. And now that I've succeeded despite you and them, you expect me to bail you out? The answer is no. Jack, get out of my home. Are you really going to do this? Turning your back on family? You turned your back on me when you sued me. Now I'm just making things official. Get out. He departed. I closed the door. I stood there for a minute. I felt nothing. There is no remorse, regret, or second thoughts, only peace. 2 months later, my parents declared bankruptcy. We lost our house and had to relocate into a modest apartment. Nathan moved in with them. They were all three crammed into a 2-bedroom unit. The family group chat, which I had quit years ago, appears to have burst with drama. Rachel kept me informed, even though I never asked. Some relatives blamed me, called me callous, and claimed the family should stick together. Others understood and remarked that my parents had made their bed. I didn't care either way. I was building my life. My business generated $300,000 in revenue. I hired my first employee. Began planning expansion, purchased new workshop equipment, completed the guest bathroom renovation, and began dating Isabel, whom I met at a business networking event. She was brilliant, humorous, and running her own marketing firm. I told her about my family on our third date. They sued you? She asked, astonished. Yeah, because you were successful. Because I was successful, and their favorite son wasn't. That's insane. Yeah, it was. Do you talk to them now? No. And I don't plan to. Good. That takes strength or stubbornness. Sometimes they're the same thing. 6 months after the trial, I received a letter from my father. I almost threw it away, but instead I opened it. Jack, I don't expect you to answer to this. I'm not even sure if you'll read it, but I wanted to write it anyway. Your mother and I were wrong about everything. About how we treated you and Nathan differently, about the lawsuit, about thinking we could force you to fix our mistakes. We spent 24 years telling you that you didn't need help because you were self-sufficient. But what we really meant was that we were too tired to help both of you. And Nathan required more attention. That was our failure, not yours. You built something incredible on your own, and instead of being proud, we resented you for it. We saw your success as a judgment on our failures with Nathan. I'm sorry. And your mother is sorry. I know it's too late. But I wanted you to know that we finally understand what we did. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't have any expectations. I just wanted you to know that you were correct about everything. Dad, I read it twice, put it in a drawer, and did not answer. Perhaps someday I will. Maybe someday, I'll be ready to have that conversation. But not today. Today, I had a business to manage, a life to construct, and a future of my own, and it was enough. 2 years later, Nathan went into a coffee shop as I was examining quarterly reports. I spotted him before he noticed me. He looked different, leaner, and jaded, dressed in a retail store uniform with a name tag and short, utilitarian hair. He no longer has the styled look he spent an hour on. He ordered a coffee, turned around, and froze when he noticed me. For a moment, neither of us moved. He walked over gently. Jack, Tyler, can I sit just for a minute? I motioned to the chair. He sat carefully, as if he expected me to change my mind. I'm not here for money. He stated instantly. I saw you and thought maybe I should finally say what I should have said 2 years ago. I waited. I'm sorry for everything. The lawsuit, the entitlement, all of it. I destroyed my own life, Jack. You didn't do it. I did. I did. He appeared to be really broken. Different from Nathan, who had screamed that my house belonged to him. I've been in therapy for 18 months, he explained. Real therapy, the kind where you face what you did wrong instead of blaming everyone else. And what did you do wrong? Everything. I spent 25 years thinking the world owed me success, because I was the oldest, because Mom and Dad believed in me. But I never put in the work. I just wanted results without effort. He stared at his coffee. The lawsuit represented the lowest point. I was so delusional that I told myself you had stolen my life, but after hitting rock bottom, losing everything, living in my car, and working in retail at 27, reality couldn't be denied any longer. Where are you now? I'm a store manager, paying back my parents $50 per month, and taking night classes on real-world business principles. It will take years, but I am doing it correctly this time. I studied him. This was not manipulation. This was someone who had been broken, and was attempting to rebuild. I appreciate the apology, I replied, but I don't know if I can have you in my life again. Maybe someday. Not now. I understand. That's more than fair. He stood and extended his hand. I shook it. Take care of yourself, Jack. You, too. After he went, I sat there for a while, absorbing. My phone vibrated. Text message from Isabel, my girlfriend of a year and a half. Still on for dinner tonight? Yeah. 7 p.m. Love you. Love you too. That evening, over dinner, I informed Isabel about our experience. How do you feel? She inquired. Honestly, I don't know. He seemed genuine. Do you think you'll ever reconcile? Maybe. When he's proven it's real. Not just when he needs something. When enough time has passed that I'm sure that's healthy. There's a difference between holding a grudge and having boundaries. 6 months later, my company generated $550,000 in revenue. I hired 2 more people and moved into a professional office. Isabel moved in with me. Our lives are gradually and organically converging. One Saturday, I received a call from Dad. We hadn't had much touch. He would send out occasional updates. I read them but rarely responded. Nathan was promoted to manager. He stated he's doing great. This month, I was paid back another $1,000. That's good. Pause. Jack, I don't expect anything from you, but I wanted you to know your mother and I are proud of you. We should have said that 20 years ago. My throat clenched. Thanks, Dad. I know it's too late, but I wanted you to hear it anyway. A year after running into Nathan, I received a letter from Dad containing a cashier's check for $20,000. The actual amount of the judgment. Nathan asked me to email this. It took him 2 years. But he paid back the entire judgment. He wants you to know how serious he is about making things right. No expectations, only accountability. Dad. I looked at the check for a long time. Then I phoned Nathan. It's Jack. Got the check. I wanted to make things right, he admitted calmly. 2 years of saving, but I did it. You didn't have to. The judgment was against Mom and Dad. I know, but it was my lawsuit, my entitlement that started it. I needed to take responsibility. Cash the check, he stated. Please, I need to know I did at least this one thing right. Okay, I've donated it. All $20,000 went to a scholarship fund for low-income kids pursuing business degrees, kids who will work 3 jobs through college. Just like I had. I texted Nathan, check cashed, donated to scholarship fund. You're square. His response was, that's perfect. Thank you. Isabel discovered me in my workshop that evening. You donated it? Yeah, because I never needed their money. That was the whole point. She kissed me and said, I love you. I know. Are you going to talk to them? Your family. Eventually, when I'm ready, when it doesn't feel like giving up boundaries, just choosing to extend grace. 1 year later, I proposed to Isabel. A small proposal for just the 2 of us at the property I had restored myself. She said yes. We planned a simple wedding. From my side, there is only her family, our friends, Aunt Rachel, and Uncle Jim. 1 month before the wedding, Dad called. I heard about the wedding. Congratulations. I know we're not invited. I understand why, but I wanted you to know we're happy for you. Thanks, Dad. 6 months after the wedding, Isabel and I discovered she was pregnant. I waited a week to call Dad. Isabel and I are having a baby. Silence. Then his voice grew heavy with emotion. That's wonderful. Congratulations. When the baby comes, maybe you can visit. Meet your grandchild. His voice cracked. I'd like that very much. We'll figure it out. Our daughter Sophia was born 9 months later. My parents entered the hospital quietly and respectfully. Nathan arrived separately with a children's book. Congratulations, man. She's beautiful. Thanks. It wasn't a reconciliation. Not yet. But there was development. Small steps. But earned steps. A year after Sophia's birth, we had our first family supper. My house, my terms, Isabel, Sophia, and me in the middle. Mom, Dad, and Nathan stood at the perimeter, respectful and pleased to be included. It was not ideal. Awkward silences and uncomfortable times. But that was a start. After they had left, Isabel and I cleaned up. How do you feel? She inquired. Okay, it was okay. Think you'll do it again? Maybe in small doses. Later that night, I stood in Sophia's nursery and watched her sleep. My daughter grew up in a home where she was noticed, valued, and celebrated for who she was, rather than as a golden kid sibling. I reflected on the litigation, the trial, and the years of hurt. And then I realized something. The finest retribution was not to ruin them. It was creating a life so fulfilling that their affirmation was no longer necessary. And then, when I was ready, and they had earned it, I let them back in, not because I needed them, but because I wanted to. That was power. That was peace. That was a huge success.